Hello, Ansari sir. Hello.
Yes, ma'am, I am audible.
Yes. Okay, sir. Yeah. In 1 minute, I'll just be starting the session, sir.
Sure, ma'am.
I'm sorry, sir, you can try projecting that screen in full screen.
But it will switch, no, to another
If
slide.
you, yeah, if you want, you can continue with this as well, sir. No worries.
Actually, there is a problem of switching, no, when we go for
Okay.
one slide to another
Yeah,
slide.
yeah. That another window we have to share then in that case.
Hmm.
It's okay, you can keep it on.
A very good evening to all of you. I welcome you all for today's day 5 and session 9. And today we have our expert, Dr. Khalid Shami Mansari, sir. I take this privilege and we are honored to have with us Dr. Khalid Shami Mansari, Assistant Professor in Department of Civil Engineering at Yashwantrao Chauhan College of Engineering, Nagpur. With over 14 years of teaching and research experience, he holds a PhD in Civil Engineering from RTMNU and MTech in Environmental Engineering for VNIT Nagpur. Dr. Ansari had made significant contributions in the areas of environmental engineering, wastewater treatment, material science, and artificial intelligence applications in civil engineering. He has guided numerous undergraduate and postgraduate projects and published extensively in high impact international journals. He is the author of the book Basic Elements of Environmental Management and also been granted 3 Indian patents, including innovations in sustainable concrete and waste utilization. His research excellence has been recognized through awards such as Dr. P.R. Bhave Memorial Prize and the Best Paper Award at RAMML 2022. In addition, Dr. Ansari serves as a reviewer for several reputed SCIE and Scopus Index journals and actively contributes to academic development through workshops, accreditation processes, and student development programs. I request Dr. Ansari to kindly take over the session. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for introducing me. So I welcome you all for this faculty development programs on the sustainable energy and climate solutions, which has been funded by ICT on basis of Atal Academics. So today's my topic will be sustainable resources management. So when we talk about this sustainable resources management, we have to understand that what is important in sustainable. When we talk about the sustainability, when we talk about the resources and how these both are being managed properly. So based on that, we will first understand that why resources management is one of the important expert or important criterias when we think. So first is nothing but when we talk about the resources management, the first depletions or challenges which generally comes is nothing but the populations. Now we know that the population is growing in demands, and we know that how the population is gaining its increasing in numbers, and maybe the global population by the years 2020 2050 it will be 9.7 billions. So we have to understand that how these resources can be managed. So this is again one of the increasing demand in the population. Then we can conclude that increasing demand in the foods, increasing demands in the water, increasing demands in the energy, then increasing demands in the housings, and then lot of materials which are being there. So based on that, the population pressure is again one of the important aspects in dealing with respect to the challenges of the resources management. Second is nothing but the ecological footprints, and ecological footprints is nothing but when we go for when we see this map, according to this map we find that how this ecological footprint is been gaining its increasing or gaining its impact. Now we can understand that global footprints will based on the resources will be 1.7 times of the earth globals. So this is again one of the important scenarios, and we understand that how the planet biocapacity of its is been dealing with the several factors based on the resources depletions, deforestations. Then we can understand that what is the water scarcity. So this is nothing but the how the global ecological footprint is been changing the system, changing the whole environmental challenges, resources challenges. And third is when we see about the third scenarios is nothing but the environmental degradations. Now environmental degradation is nothing but when we see about the extractions of materials which generally been more as compared to the biodiversity losses and the water stresses. So based on that, we know understand that how the food capacity, how the energy, how the global market is been given with the environmental degradations. Mainly for when we talk about the environmental degradation is nothing but the industrial activities which may be due to just mining, which will do be due to the fossil fuels extractions, and very much we find understand that will be large scale of the agriculture, maybe in the soil erosion, chemical population, chemical pollutions, and the aquatic ecosystems. So based on that, we can understand. And last is nothing but the global inequities. Now as we know that the challenge is nothing but the high income countries which consumes a lot of energies, resources, which maybe when we think about the developed countries, we think that 2 to 5 times the rate of the flow with the developing countries. So it is again big challenge because the resources are there, which been taken by the developed countries, and the unsuitable, you can say unsustainable consumptions are generally one of the issues for the undeveloped countries. So this is again one of the parameters which we have to be focused upon this. So these are nothing but one of the challenges that we are talking about the resources management. Now when we see about these challenges, we have to understand the concept of the sustainabilities. As we know that the sustainabilities is given by the Brundtland definition or Brundtland concept in a common future, which was generally been developed in World Commission on Environment and Development. So this was the concept of sustainabilities, and we have to understand that it generally introduce we can say the definition based on the economic growth, based on the environmental protection, and based on the social equality. So this is the three pillars which we have to understand based on the sustainability point of view when we talk about the resources phenomena. When we talk about the resources, so we have to think about the sustainabilities, and then we have to think about what are the three pillars of the sustainabilities, because all three pillars are correlated with each others. So based on that, we have to understand that how these three pillars can be one of the important for sustainabilities based on the conservation of the natural ecosystems, then biodiversities and the climate conditions. Then we have to understand that long term of the growth, long term of the economical growth, and without depleting the natural resources. And third is nothing but the social. We have to understand the social equality, because we have to understand the equity. We have to understand the quality of life. We have to understand the interrelationship between the humans and the societies. That is more important, because day by day, as we know that the quality of life is boosting up, people are more in phase on their quality of life. People want more consumptions based on their qualities. So this is again one of the factors of the three pillars. Then we can understand about the generation equity. We have to think about the intergeneration equities, and which generally responsible to ensure that the future generations must get the sufficient resources. That is more thinking when we talk about the sustainable resources, because when we think about these parameters, we have to understand that our future generation will get the benefit of all the parameters, all the resources which we are enjoying. So based on that, we have to move forward. We have to take serious attention based on these equity patterns. And last is nothing but the global relevance. When we talk about the global relevance, it is important that we have to understand the facts, that what the globals are thinking about the sustainable development goal. What the globals are thinking means all the developed countries and developing countries, based on one platform, how they are thinking that the global relevance based on the resources management must be there. So there are lots of agendas, lots of platforms has been created based on these resources development and based on the criteria of global relevance. And a lot of things has been come up with the sustainability point of view. So the next is the environmental crisis. We have to understand the what are the environmental crises. So we have to understand that these are the challenges that has to become. We have to understand that the link between the resources and the environments. We have to understand that how the resources and environments are correlated with each others. We have to understand that how the changes are being done in factors like, for example, water resources stresses are there, water and land use are there. Then we can understand that how the scarcities are there. Then we have to understand the energy productions, that how the productions are being developed, that the emissions, carbon dioxide emissions, then resources extractions. So these are nothing but the crises that are there in terms of when we talk about the link between the resources and the environments. Then we have to understand the water stresses, like depletions of the aquifers, water qualities, that is more important, and water waste generation, that is again one of the important aspects in terms when we talk about the resources and the environments. Because when we think about the environmental pollutions, we have to think how these pollutions are being created with respect to industries, with respect to population, with respect to habits, with respect to qualities of life, with respect to climate change, with respect to with respect to biodiversity. So this is important between, because these two factors are correlated with each others. When we have a resources, we have to think that how the resources can be benefited with respect to environments. We have to think how this environment can be more efficient, more means more benefits to these resources. So that things is important in terms when we talk about the link between the resources. Now uh, now when we talk about this link, we have to understand that how the global markets think about it. When we think about this, we have to think about the sustainable development goal. This is a very important criteria when we think about the sustainabilities, because 17 sustainable development goals has been identified by the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal. And generally based on that, the resources management is the central to achieving these goals, because resources is the main creatures or main factors where we think about the industry's innovations, when we think about the climate actions, when we think about the responsible productions, when we think about the life of the oceans, when we think about the life of the water, when we think about the clean waters. So resources management is one of the important criterias in concern with water, with concern with energy, in concern with the production, in concern with the ecosystems. So all these three things are more emphasizes in benefiting the sustainable development goals. And as I have already given you thing about that, how the global relevance are more emphasis among the sustainability and sustainable development goals. Because This is the platform which has been created by the global alliance, and every nation or every developed countries or developing countries are the part of that, and they have to finalize, they have to make sure that how this sustainability can be maintained in their own resources in their own countries, and how it is not been damaged, or means we have to take care that how these resources managements are not impacted by this kind of things. So when we think about these sustainable development resources, we have like sustainable development goal 6, where we think about the clean water and the sanitations. This is one of the important. We generally focus on the availability and the sustainable management of water for all for all human beings, life or living creatures, we can say. So we have to focus. We have to ensure that efficient use of the water is being given to the agriculture. It is given to the industries. Is being given to the living creatures. Then we have to understand that when we talk about the sustainable development goal in resources, based on the sustainable development goal on 6, we have to understand that the prevention of the water pollutions, prevention of the water pollution from the resources based activities, we have to think about that also. We have to promote the integrated waste management things also. So this is again when we talk about the sustainable development goal. So this 6 is very important when we think about the clean water and sanitations. When we go for the sustainable development goal 7, we have to focus on the affordable and clean energies. Now this clean energy generally focus on the reliable. We have to focus on the sustainability. We have to focus on the modern energy. Modern energy means we have to think about the new concept of energy, new areas of energies, new material type of energies we have to think. And we have to focus on the fossil fuels, how this renewable energies can be converted, how this renewable energy can be given more importance. Then again we have to think about the energy buildings. We have to think about the transportations. We have to also give the emphasis to industries also, which are more focused on the clean energy type of things. And again we have to be more focused on the sustainable biomass and bioenergy production also. So this is the clean energy that we have to make sure when we talk about the resources. Now when we talk about the sustainable development goal, it is nothing but the sustainable development goal 12, which generally responsible for the consumption and the production. We're generally responsible for the consumption and production, and generally ensures the sustainable consumption and production patterns, where we generally focus on 3 R's, like reduce, reuse and recycles. And based on that phenomena, we have to think about the economy, circular economy, how this circular economy can be pushed up with respect to these 3 R's, with respect to this recycling process. Because we have to be very much focused on the eco design ecosystems, and we must be more focused on the sustainable supply chains. That is more important. And now 13 sustainable development goal, when you talk about the resources, is nothing but the climate change or climate actions, which are important based on its impact. We have to make sure that we reduce the emission from the resources sectors, like maybe in terms of cements, because a lot of you can say carbon footprints are being generated with respect to the cements. We have to think about the steels. We have to be more focused on the agriculture sectors also, and we have to promote the low carbon technologies, low carbon food technologies, because we are talking about the climate actions, climate change. So this sustainable development goals 13 is more efficiency in strengthening the climate relations on ecosystems and resources infrastructures. 14 is a sustainable development goal based on the life on below water. Now, it is not important that we are focusing on the upper surface, but we have to also focus on the marine, on the oceans, on the resources that are things. We have to think about the plastic pollutions, which are being directly dumped, or maybe sometimes it dumps into the oceans. We have to think about the aquaculture practices and the fisheries, sustainable fisheries. And last is nothing but when we think about these 15 sustainable that is nothing but the life on land, which generally focus on the protect, which generally focus on the promote the terrestrial ecosystems, which generally have land degradations, which generally focus on the sustainable forest management, and it goes for the conservations of the biodiversities by resources exploitations. So this is a very important channel when we talk about the sustainable development goals, which are generally related to the reservoirs. And based on that, we can understand that how this clean water factors, how these clean energies can be transported, which with respect to the renewable energies, how these sustainable cities are there when we focus on the urban resources management, and how we think about these zero hungers type of things. No, we cannot when we talk about the this six sustainable development goal are more important, but we cannot say that rest sustainable developments are not more beneficial. But the thing is that every sustainable developments have directly links or indirectly links to some sort of sustainable development goals, which generally is our industries innovations and zero hungers type of things. So it is very important that how the sustainable developments are correlated or relations are there with the resources. Now the biggest challenge that generally comes to the resources is nothing but the population growth. As I've already told you, that population growth is one of the important facts, and urbanizations, resources, and climate change. Now when we talk about I have already told you that the over 9.7 billions of the populations are been predicted by the years 2050. So we can understand that how the consumption patterns of foods, water, energy will be there. So it is a global scenarios, and we have to think that how we have to make sure that how the sustainability are covers based on the food, based on the water, based on the energy, and based on the raw materials that we are using, raw materials based on that. And it is really impacting the accelerate really impacting on the land, and it is generally leading to the depletions of fossil fuels, depletions of the fresh waters. So it is again one of the pressure that we have to understand. So this is again one of the challenges in the pollution growth. Then we are more concerns about uh, the greenhouse gases also when we talk about these pollution population growth. Now second is nothing but the rapid urbanizations. When we think about rapid urbanizations, uh, when we think about rapid urbanizations, so the resources, growing resources needs are in the cities, mainly in the areas where more good quality of lives peoples are there, where we think about their consumption patterns are more. So urbanizations, based on that, we find that the expectations are more in the developing areas, or we can say, or developing nations. And we can understand that the demands of that things are more in terms of electricity, in terms of transportation, in terms of waste, in terms of waste generation. So it is again which generally leads to the quality of air, quality of water, quality of traffic. And we can understand that how this stress is being given to the ecosystem. So this is the urbanization. When we talk about the urbanization, so waste and pollution is again one of the factors. So these are the stresses. When we think about the climate change, climate change is the contribution to climate change generally based on the affections of resources availability and the stability, maybe in terms of the water resources, in terms of agricultures, in terms of resources like water, agriculture productivities, and we can say in biodiversities, forest. And it generally give you the stress on the resources, which generally leads to the global emissions. So these are nothing but the resources challenges. Now we have to understand the what are the renewable resources. Now when we think about the renewable resources, are the naturally replacement over time and are considered best on the human time scale. So this is very important resources, renewable resources, and we have to be based on these renewable resources because it generally based on the solar energy. It's more emphasis on the wind energy than water, and the forest is been there. So when we talk about the solar energies, we have to be more emphasized on the solar thermal systems. We have to be as now nowadays we find that government of India is taking a lot of initiatives in developing this solar energy, developing in focus on the solar power plants, and we have that type of missions. You can understand national solar missions are been there, which has been built up in Gujarat, where the solar systems has to be leaded, and it is nothing but the global renewable growth, and it has been the minimal, the environmental impact when we talk about is very minimal, and it has very less emissions as compared to other renewable resources. So this is one of the best energy that we are providing, and we are talking about the renewable resources. So it is best, and second is nothing but the wind energy, which generally depends upon the which generally give you more emphasis on the electricity based on the turbines, and based on the beneficials on the onshores, and it generally goes also for the offshore also, where we find that high potential energy is being required. So again, it generally goes for the challenges is nothing but it has intermediate, means it does not have that type of impact. Then we think about the water. Now water is again, when we think about the energy from the waters, energy from the dams, and we are finding that the sustainable energies are being come up. So it generally when we think about the waters is generally reliable, which generally based on the renewable energies. So again, give us help in the water storage. Generally also it control the flood also, and the more important facet is nothing but these renewable resources. And fourth is nothing but the forest. When we talk about the forest, it generally provides us the food, wood, then fuels, then again the organic materials from the biomass. Then again, the benefit is nothing but um, it generally give you based on the circular use of the agriculture, because whatever the waste material we are using, it's coming from the agriculture, so we are again recycling and reusing the things. So again, the biomass coming from the energy, and the concern is more about the carbons, because it is leading to the carbon things. So when we think about these renewable resources, we are more concerned about these renewable resources because it is nothing but the alternative. It is nothing but the alternative which we are needed from the natural resources. So it is one of the important aspects. Now when we think about the non-renewable resources, so basically, there are no many of the non-renewable resources, but when we think about the non-renewable resources, we have to understand that it is nothing but the finite resources. We do not regenerate, or we do not recycle, and we have to understand that how this is extracted and then consumed in non-reusable ways. And more vital, it is more important for the industrial growth, when we think about the technological developments. So there is a lot of this importance of these non-renewable resources. And when we think about these fossil fuels like coals, oils, natural gas, they generally have the backbone of the industrialization. This is generally the backbone of the industrializations, because they are yielding high energies. It is giving you high energy densities. And the thing is that when we go for the coal, it generally goes for the power energies, mainly for the steel industries. So we can understand that how these resources are more beneficial to the industries, to the societies, when we think about the petroleums, when we think about the natural gases. So this is again, but the challenges that we are facing, that the challenges is nothing but the greenhouse gases emissions, the air pollutions emissions, the like CO2, NOx, XOS, PM 2.5. So these are nothing but the challenges when we go for these fossil fuels consumptions. Now when we think about the Indian context, we have to make sure that how this India is producing only 55% of electricity, which is generally coming from the coals, and rest we have to import. We have to import almost 80 to 85, and it is generally from the crude oil that is coming from the other countries or other nations. Now second is nothing but the minerals. So we have to understand that how these limestones, gypsums, phosphates are been there, and what are the based on that we have to understand that what are the environmental issues, like open pits minings are there when we think about these resources depletions, when we think about the resources use. So open mining we have to do. Then the problems is nothing but the impacts is nothing but the dust, noise, and water pollution, which is in the nearby consumption. So this is again one of the challenges or issues related to the environmental terms. And we are more concerned on the toxic waste which is coming from the mine drainage. So this is the more concern when we think about these minerals, and when we think about these resources. And when we think about these metals, so again it is coming from the iron, copper, zinc, and it is generally coming from the uses like iron steels infrastructures, transportations. This generally includes the crops, livestocks, and we think about the microbiological things also. Then microbial biodiversity is also there. So this is the non-renewable resources. Now this is again important aspects about the uh, biological resources. Now these biological resources are generally refers to the naturally occurring living organisms which derive from the ecological balance, livelihoods to security, and it generally includes the wild species, crops, and then marine organisms, and microbial biodiversities. So when we think about the biodiversities, the variety of life forms like genes species, are there gene species and ecosystems which are generally there, which generally supports the ecosystem services. When we talk about the water purifications, climate regulations, because it generally supports to the water purification type of things, wastewater treatment type of things. We generally act as natural insurance systems for the environmental solutions for that. And then it is generally also used for the means when we think about this, it is also used for the medicines, for the crops and biotechnologies innovations. And when the challenges that we are when we think, it is nothing but the deforestation, because when we think about these resources, deforestation, pollution, habitats, are over exploitations, it generally leads to one of the climate changes. So this is again when we think about the biological resources, the terms comes to the biodiversities. And when we think about the India, we think about the which generally faces more pressures on the ecosystems and the species. Now the biodiversity, just because of the population, it has been depleting down, just because of this kind of the consumption patterns and the quality of life of the people. Then very important aspect is nothing but the agricultures. Now this is biological resources. Now agricultures is very important when we think. And as in India, we have the main occupation, and agriculture generally provides us the foods, fibers, bioenergies, and lot of raw materials, because whatever the raw materials it is been used, it is been utilized, it's been recycled, it has been reused. So this agriculture sectors is giving lot of resources, and it is one of the important aspects. Now the challenges generally comes to the things is nothing but the overuse of the chemical fertilizers and the pesticides, which are generally depleted, uh, generally degrades the soils and the waters, and the climate generally affect the crop productivities. So these are challenges which are there, and mainly the sustainable practices which are there, like organic farming, then pest managements, and the conversions of these climate resilient crops. So this is the agriculture where we think about. Now when we think about this fisheries, when we think about fisheries and aquatic, so fisheries also provide primary protein sources to the people. And when we are concerned, we have to be more about the warming oceans, which generally affect the fish stock distributions, and the habitual distribution of fishing areas or ocean life. Then uh, so this the solution is nothing but the sustainable aquaculture must be provided in that particular area. So meanwhile, in a nutshell, when we think about this biological resources, it is one of the important aspects in terms of resources, and generally highlighting the more phases in biodiversity, more phases in agricultures, and more phases in fisheries type of things. Now when we think about this resources. Now as I have already given you uh, uh, like solutions or renewable resources, non-renewable resources, and biological resources. Now mainly when we think about this sustainability, when we think about this, so main criteria is nothing but the important resources that we are day to day, we are thinking, or we are having the changes. So that is nothing but the water resources, energy resources, and the land and soil resources. So very important when we talk about the water, which is generally plays an important role in a life, which have a drinking purpose, which is generally used for drinking purpose, which is generally used for the agriculture and the energy production industries and the ecosystems. And we can say that it generally affect the public health, because when we think about the water resources, it must be free from diseases. And if it is affecting the public health or community health, so it is means the resources is not beneficial, not more beneficial to the societies. So again it leads to the economical think or economical ways. Then again when we think about this water resources, the important parameters that we are thinking is nothing but the water scarcity, which are over 2 millions or 2 billions peoples are facing this water stress as per the UNESCO. So UNESCO, as per the UNESCO terms, this 2 billions people are really facing the water scarcity. And it is generally caused just because of over pollution, over populations. It is generally be caused by the uh, pollutions. And when we think about these Indian scenarios, will think that over 60% is being used for the agricultures. And the groundwater depletions is again one of the challenges in Indian countries also, mainly when we think about the metro cities like Chennai and metro cities like Delhi. So this ways we are facing the problems of water scarcities. And then the solution generally comes to be the integrated water resources management, the rainwater harvesting systems. Then we think about the uh, recycling of grey waters or water things, or reuse policies. Second important when we think about the energy resources is nothing but the type of resources that we are there, both renewable and non-renewable sources. We have to make sure that how this and energy generations, transportations, power, then almost when we think about the Indian scenarios, we have to be very particular that these energy resources are mainly based on the coal, which is one of the resources for us. And we think that the rapid growing the electricity consumption, now we are having the alternative of solars things, but means this is the challenges, and we have found out the solution for these resources based on the national solar missions. And we are means the Indian governments are making that policies that every household must go for this type of renewable energies. So the consumption, and it is generally given more emphasis is on the cleaner energy, which generally reduces the emissions. Now third is more important about the land and soil resources. When we think about the land, we have to be very particular that it is nothing but a base resource, and it is the non-renewable resources, it is the finite resources, and it generally supports the foods, it generally supports the forests, it generally supports the infrastructures, it generally supports the agricultures, it generally supports the habitual settlements, it generally supports the societal settlements. And when we think about the soil, the soil erosions, the major threats generally comes up the soil erosions, the chemical contaminations, the and the dry lands which generally come up. And the solutions generally provided is nothing but the soil conservations for the proper management. So this land conservations you can understand, then energy resources transmission you can understand, and then water resources management. So these three factors are more important in terms when we think about the resources, as these three resources are really directly linked with us, directly linked with the human being. So these three resources are more beneficial for our development activities, and for our resources a proper sustainable resources management is needed to make sure that these three resources are being there for us and it is being sustainable. So this is one of the important criterias. So this is again the things when we think about the challenges. We have already discussed this about the food security, about this water scarcities. So this is again we have already discussed about the overfishing, deforestation. So we'll move ahead. Now this when we think about these challenges, so these challenges are like overpopulations, over thing means climate change. We have already seen this waste generation, energy demands, energy footprints. So these are nothing but the challenges which we are facing. It's the globally challenges that generally been faced by the global, faced by the footprints which are been there by per capita, and it has been the generation with respect to the resources inefficiencies. We are thinking about the land degradations, again the over exploitations issues, deforestations. These things are already there when we think about the challenges, and these are the basic challenges that every country, every nation is been facing. These challenges: energy demands, what waste generations, land degradations, then inefficiencies and waste, then food waste. So this is the waste generation that we are facing. Now when things about the policies, or when we think about the principle of sustainable resources management, uh, there are means when we think about the sustainable resources management, we have to be more focused on the reduce, recycle and reuse. So this three concept is more important when we think about the principle of the sustainable resources management. When we think about the reduce, we have to be very particular about that how we are minimizing the resources at the source only. When we think about the reuse, we have to think about that how we can reuse the materials or reuse some sort of things. And when we think about this recycle process, we have to be more understanding the procedures of recycling. So based on this principle, we have to be more focus on reduce, recycle and reuse, because these are the nothing but the principle. Second is nothing but when we think about the economical concept. uh, Economical concept generally leads to the that what are the phenomena, what are the circular economies, which generally requires the systems for highly environmental impact. So this is the circular economy. When we think about, we have to make sure that the extract, we have to make sure that produce, that we have to make sure that it is used properly, and it is directly disposed or disposed properly. And we have to make sure that when we think about the circular economies, we have to find out the output of that waste, where we have to regenerate this natural materials. And generally the principles based on the circular economic concept is nothing but the life extractions. When we think, then the design should be properly managed. Then thing is nothing but the polluter pay principle. When we think about this, so the base thing is this: we have to make sure that whatever the damage in the environmental, it must be caused and it must be borne by those who cause them. That is the polluter pay policies or pay principles must be adopted. Then we have to make sure for the industries that they must go for the emission, means they must go for certain types of industries or certain types of changes, or encourage the encourage. We have to make sure that type of policies which generally encourage the industries for the means for negative kind of things, or for the polluters who are generally generating that type of means changing to the consumer, changing to the resources management. Then thing is that how these precautionary principles we have to take. Now action must be taken. Now action must be taken in terms of law. Action must be taken in terms of you can say law, in terms of some sort of act, in terms of equities, in terms of intergeneration equities type of things, and in terms of balance between the waters, electricities, and any kind of things which will go for the environmental injustice. So we have to make sure that the more emphasis on the principle, like given on that. So this is nothing but the principle on the sustainable resources management. Now again, when we think about the this again the principle on based on the sustainable resources management, we have the integrated resources management. Now, this integrated resources management generally coordinates and has the holistic management approach for example, uh, holistic approach for water, land, energy, biodiversities, and it has cross sectors collaborations between the governments. So, because it has integrated resources management, which generally benefits the efficient resources allocations, reduce trades off, and generally encourage the co-benefits, like for example water retention and biodiversity. And it is more important when we talk about now equity in resources management. Equity in resources management, we think about this equity. When we think about equity is nothing but the fair and the allocations. When we think about this, there are challenges when we think about equity of resources. Challenges generally goes for the sustainable goals. We generally we have to identify the energies efficiencies. We have to think about the policies. We have to think about the investments, investigations based on that. So this is the resource equity in the resources distributions. And then life cycle assessment. This is one of the cradle to grave approach that has to be there for the environmental impact. And generally the purpose is nothing but to identify the hidden environmental cost, which generally based on the optimum designs and the materials, and based on that we have to make sure that it generally supports the green environments when we talk about life cycle assessment. And it is more in more challenges or more stages that generally been given more importance in terms of raw material, then end to life of the disposal factors. Recycling process has been given more emphasis on life cycle assessment, and more on the manufacturing and distribution system. So this is about the resources management. Sustainable resources management. Now, when we think about these sustainable resources, man, this is the given the case study of Indian initiatives, and we talk about the Indian case studies when we talk about the Indian water management and what are the Indian initiatives that has been taken place. Now, when we think about the case studies, we are more emphasis on the Chennai models, where we have given a compulsory rainwater harvesting systems has been adopted since 2003. So this generally we make sure that how the water resources has been safe, water resources has been there, and it has been one of the good model, good practices. Again, when we think about the Punjab canal systems, it generally goes for the irrigations for the for when we go for Punjab canal system, it generally aids for the network for irrigation systems. And Hiware Bazar is again one of the sectors or in one of the areas in Maharashtra where we find that proper watershed managements and the water stress is being reduced just because of the watershed management. And that based on that it is been given more emphasis by the community engagement, and more emphasis is given on the mission of goals, where the improvement in the water tables level is been given when we talk about the water things, and more emphasis is on the water quality monitoring, grey water use, and means agriculture sectors, agriculture productivities. It has been given, and more emphasis is like when we talk about sustainable groundwater management and water qualities. That whatever the water qualities that has been given, it must be good enough to the consumers. Then improvement in the water table. This is again one of the sectors where the Indian government has taken initiatives based on the sustainable groundwater management system, where we find that components may be the Atal Yojana type of things, and the outcomes that we are thinking about this is nothing but the more improvements in the water table level. And just because of these practices, more improvements are been there. And based on the energy sectors, we find that solar energy, wind energy, bioenergy is again one of the sectors that India is given more emphasis. And mainly India energies are generally switching to renewable resources, renewable kind of things in the power generations, and renewable energies, which generally include solars, wind, bioenergies based on the biomass, based on the ethanol, based on offshore wind. So it is the things which are and mainly the carbon emissions are being reduced based on this energy efficient kind of things. So when we think about this global India water and energy transformation, we are thinking about more on resources, more on integration management, more on renewable resources, energy efficiency, and resources abundance. Now, when we think about this sustainable resources management, so when we think about sustainable resources management, there are the four to five important parameters like forest resources, community forest management, agricultures, agriculture sectors. And when we think about these forest resources, we are maintaining ecological functions, biodiversities, and important is nothing but this the forest must be more enough because it generally consume more carbon dioxide, so it is very important for our biodiversities. We are very important for the soil productions and the communities which are really liable on these forest resources. So it is the community, the forest management is very important for based on sustainable resources management. And the important is nothing but the local communities which are protecting, managing the forest, maybe for the rural populations. And more important is nothing about uh, the enhancing the local livelihood of the people which are really living in the local areas. Now, the joint forest management is there. Joint forest management, which generally more focus on the efforts which has been taken by the forest departments and the local communities. So this is nothing but joint forest management, which generally improvement in the forest qualities, and we generally given the occupations to the people real nearby area of that particular people. So this is the resources management which has been taken place. And based on that, farming practices, based on the agriculture process, like sustainable farming practices has been given in food resources. Then sustainable agriculture practices which generally improve the organic farming type of things, which generally improves the biodiversities and the soil health, which generally supports the farmers and the agriculture sectors, in turns come up with the climate changes, or with generally climate resilient practices. And mostly this type of things are being supported by the government also. So governments are taking more initiatives. Indian governments are taking more efficiencies based on the testing of the labs, soil testings kind of things, and the organic farming type of things. Sustainable resources management also comes in three or more four sectors, where we talk about the when we talk about the minerals, when we talk about the industrial process, when we talk about the construction activities, when we talk about the construction activities, when we talk about the urban resources management. So when we talk about the urban resources management, we must be more emphasizes on the cities designs, which maybe go for the green buildings or energy efficient design type of things. In sustainable cities, sustainable infrastructure generally goes for the waste collections, more important in the infrastructures, waste collection, energies. Then we are more emphasized on rooftop garden type of things. So this is nothing but the urban resources when we think about this urban type of sustainable cities. And when in Indian initiatives is nothing but the 100 cities focusing, which maybe go for these sustainable resources kind of things. But when we go for the construction means C&D waste process means construction and demolition waste. So we know that it is the waste which generally generate more numbers in tons when we think about, and mainly generally includes the steels, wood, plastics, bricks, and it has more more things when it goes in the metro cities. So the impact generally goes in the mining, in the energies, and in reducing the landfill sectors. And again, the carbon emissions has been coming up. Carbon emission is at higher level. So the solutions which has been provided for that is the AI based some sort of sortings of and the new materials which are been there, like geopolymer concrete type of using flash. So this may be in terms of more important in sustainable resources management. And when we think about the minerals industrial sectors, we must be more in eco mining type of things. Metal recycling is one of the concept where we recycle the metals. Then green manufacturing, we generally integrate the sustainable materials, the process and the waste minimizations, and it given you emphasizes more emphasizes on the life cycle thinking, more emphasizes on energy use, more emphasizes on the non-toxic product. So, and we know that when we think about the Indian sectors, we think that India is third or fourth largest production of steels in area, and it generally give larger information like more e-waste generation is being done in that. So so based on that, we can understand that how this large in e-waste recycling process is again one of the challenges for the sustainable resources management. So when we think about this sustainable resources management, we are must be more emphasis on green manufacturing kind of things, green manufacturing, green industries, or green buildings type of things, based on the resources management in terms of when we talk about the resources management in terms of construction activities. Now, the important scenarios or important experts that how the governments are taking more, you can say, more thinking on the policies, the governance and the economics, because this is the sectors where where the government has to take a lot of initiatives, and the government have to make some certain types of policies which must be benefited to the societies and which must be benefited to the resources. So when we think about the international frameworks, we know that when we think about the international areas, we have lot of frameworks which has been designed, lot of platform has been created for this policies on the sustainable resources. Like I have already told you about sustainable development goals. We have already talked about the agenda on human a human platform. We have also seen about the agenda 21, which is generally adopted in Rio Earth Summit. We generally focus on the poverties, we generally focus on the ecosystems and proper land use, which is divided into which divided into social and economical strength dimensions. Then when we think about these sustainable development goals, it generally promotes the green economies and generally frameworks for the sustainable developments. And mainly when we think about these sustainable development goals, I've already told you goals 6, 7, 12, 13, 15 are very correlated with the sustainable resources, are correlated with sustainable resources management. And we generally gives the more emphasis on the forest conservation, then greenhouse emission type of thing, then circular economical waste reductions. Now when we think about Indian scenarios, when you think about Indian policies, when you think about the Indian system, so the nation, a lot of policies are been given more importance in terms of like national water policies, where the growth of good qualities of the water must be given to the consumers. Then integrated waste shade management, water shade management, and um, given watershed management, proper watershed management must be provided. Then again, there are missions like national missions for enhancing energy efficiencies, which generally goes for the energy efficiency type of things. Energy, giving a financial platforms for the energy, for the good development of resources, good development of resources based on the efficiencies. And the last is nothing but the produce responsibilities which are been there, means it is also important for the producers, for the consumers, for the societies to make a good use of that resources. That is more important when we think about these responsibilities terms when we think. And generally we have to make focus on the sectors like collections and recycling process. We have to make facts on eco designs and innovation in the packaging type of things. And we generally focus on the promoting the sustainable consumption patterns, more important when we think about these responsibilities kind of things, and the international scenarios. Now, again, in continue with resources governance, we have to make sure that how the market is being balanced with based on the mechanisms like carbon credit. We have to think about the carbon credit, which generally permits the country, or you can say organizations, to have that greenhouse emissions, means have the limitations of amount of CO2 limitations, and encouraging the more investments in renewable energies and efficiencies. So this generally makes sure that based mechanisms are there. And like for example, in India we find that more emphasis is been given for the solars kind of things, green energy type of things, green frameworks type of things to reduce the pollution level, green transport, green bonds type of things for the climates and the environmental projects. So this is nothing but the market based emphasis has been given more focus when we talk about the scenarios. Then public private partnership is very important for this, which have the collaborations between the governments and the private sectors, which generally thinks about the making the funds which is mean more importance in the project implementation, in more emphasis in project implementations, and the more emphasis is on such type of like waste to energy scenarios type of things. More emphasis must be given on decentralized projects. Then role of local governance is also important, because generally the local governments generally based on the resources management like water, waste, energies. And generally the challenges which are generally coming up is nothing but the fund which is been there in the local governance, because the fund shortage is there, and lack of infrastructures, you can say lack of infrastructure, lack of proper communications, you can say. So based on that, so again the solutions for that is nothing but more solution has been given, like the platform is given like GIS monitoring, Swachh Bharat, Amrut, and all sort of things for this. And last is nothing but the community partnership. This is a more important when we talk about this community partnership, because it generally leads to the planning sectors, generally leads to the monitoring system, it generally leads to the sustainable development actions, where based on the every individuals have some sort of mechanisms to have the hand with the sustainable resources. So this is the community partnership, and without community we cannot think that the resources management will be properly been given more importance, because public is or societal action is more important in environmental in good environmental solutions, and good environmental waste management when we talk about this. Now when we think about the in Indian policies, when you think about Indian policies, we have a lot of policies, but we may make focus on these three: national water policies, energy efficiency, and natural resources efficiency policies, which generally promotes or sustainable water management. Their goals are nothing but the water management, sustainable water management. Their goals is nothing but the energy efficiency, and the thing is they promote the resources management properly. And the main methods generally goes for the consumptions, the goes for the conservations, goes for the pollutions and the preservations. The more methods are based on that policies, then whatever the energy policies like PAT policies, and then your circular economy policies. Now, when we think about the case study, I have just go for one or two case studies. First is nothing but the Singapore case study. This is the global case study, where it has four important parameters. Where the imported water, four national tabs have been given for the good resources management, which generally aims for overcoming its overcoming its fresh water scarcities. So four important things are being given. First is the imported waters. So this is a long term which has been imported water has been imported from Malaysia. Then rainwater harvesting system is again one of the key factors for canals. And we can understand that desalination plant, and that they have gone for this seawater which has been converted for energy efficient. Desalination technologies has been adopted for good amount of sustainable resources management. And based on that, the innovations, generally when we talk about the catchment areas or the public awareness is there in that Singapore national tabs strategies, which has been given more emphasis on the Singapore water management strategies. And when we talk about Bhutan, we think about the forest covers, the carbon negative is been given, and the clean technologies or clean clean energy is been given a more emphasis in the Bhutan leaderships or Bhutan case studies. Now, when we think about the sectors in Indian scenarios, when we think about the sectors in Indian scenarios, we have a role model of Kerala, which has decentralized resources management. Decentralized resources management is been given in Kerala terms. So when we think about this Kerala, the key concept generally emphasize in the decentralized governance systems. Decentralized governance systems, especially in managing the local resources, managing the health, managing the educations, managing the water consumption, managing the uh, the environmental sustainabilities, and generally depends upon the local bodies. It generally give more emphasis on the local area, local bodies around the local bodies, which may be 30 to 40%, and the more emphasis on that things. And more sustainable resources management generally initiates the missions like Haritha Keralam missions, which generally focus on the water conservations, which generally focus on the sanitation, which generally focus on the organic farming. And then the second mission is nothing but the Suchritwa missions, which generally based on the solid and liquid management, which has been properly managed by the local authority people. And the people are generally goes for the composting type of things, and the centralized segregations. And when we go for the missions, Kudum Shri missions, which generally goes for the human-led networks, and mostly for the poverty elevations. We generally also goes for the organic farmings, also goes for the waste collection type of things. And Green Island is again one of the factors in that things. So when we think about these features, the Outcome is nothing but we can see that how the water scarcity is, the low pollution levels are been there, and the climate resilience limits integrated water integrated plans with disaster risk management. So we can understand that how local low pollution levels, low pollution type of things are been there in terms of when we talk about this Kerala. So this Kerala is one of the we can say a role model for the proper sustainable resources management. Meanwhile, Indore is also going for that sustainable resources management. Even the Bhopal is also going for this sustainable resources management, and properly resources being managed in the following sectors like solid waste management properly. Even recently, we have heard that Lucknow is been also been recognized for its well developed sustainable resources management kind of things. Now, very important is nothing but the future pathway. Now, as we know that the technologies are been boosting up, and based on our technologies, we must be very much aware that how these technologies are really uh, challenging the things, and we are protecting with the good. We are protecting with a lot of things, a lot of solutions. For example, like depletions, we can be protected when we go for this IoTs and artificial intelligence for the smart resources management. And this is really a role models and role technologies which are coming when we think about the resources management in terms of leak detections, in terms of consumption, in terms of tracking, in terms of automatic irrigation systems, in terms of smart grid in energy system, in terms of real time monitoring system. Then smart beans systems is also been there. In terms of air quality, when we think about these air qualities, how these air quality monitoring stations are being developed, and this artificial intelligence are really predicting the analysis, and based on that predicting the analysis, the researchers are given more scenarios or more results. Based on that, we can forecast on the water demands, we can forecast on the energy consumption and the climate that are being changes just because of this thing. Again, based on this AI model, we are more emphasis on the optimization process, more emphasizes on the crop monitoring system. Basically, when we go for the resources, means we can reduce the water consumption over there, we can reduce the pesticides. Crop monitoring is also there, and we can when we go for this AI based system, we can more emphasis based on the urban planning, where the land use been properly been given more uh, land use is be given land use planning is properly been maintained by these IoTs and AI based smart resources management. Now, when we talk about these sectors, when we talk about these global and Indian sectors or pathways, key phenomena, we are thinking that youth educations and the behavior of the people must be with the with the with the societies, means the you can say the behavior must be engaging the government policies, and making the drive for the sustainable kind of things, making in more terms when we think about this sustainability. So youth is nothing but a changing agent, we can say, based on that, because it's generally given the more emphasis on new technologies, and they are more emphasis on giving more solutions to the you can say raw materials. So the youth agents are really there. Then we have most important is nothing but the sustainability educations. Properly educations must be provided properly educations based on the climate, based on the sustainable development goal, based on the literacy, based on the climate change, based on the water, based on the energy, based on the land. So every resources must be given a proper education system. Proper learning is being given to the youngest ones, to the citizens, based on the scientific projects. So this is again one of the helpful. Then again, the behavioral changes must be there, like the actions for recycling process, reduce process. Then again, for encouraging the societal, we can have the rewards. We can encourage sustainability practices. We can go for more NGOs for kind of things, and given more campaign, like for example Swachh Bharat Abhiyan missions, life, youth climate conclave, hackathon type of thing. So this events will really going to boost the young people to come up with more things related to the futures pathway, because it generally depends upon the design, the sustainability educations, the sustainability practices, and then global practices, and the awareness about that. And when we think about the circular economy, we have to make sure that it moves from dispose to reduce, reuse, and recycle. And we have to make sure that the material, whatever the materials, or whatever the raw products that we are using, it has to be used in long way, if possible, without means we disposal, because it generally again one of the disasters to the land. And more important, that we have to make sure ensure the eco design. We have to make sure the modular product. We have to ensure the economics based on the restoring the natural systems. We have to make sure that how this agriculture or agriculture sectors, because mostly more of the people are there in the agriculture sectors. So how we practice regenerative agricultures and ecosystems kind of things. And basically when we go for the circular practice, we must be more important that how the crop rotations are there in terms of agricultures. Then when we go for the industries kind of things, we have to understand that how zero waste phenomena is being adopted by the industries, because this is the path of the circular economy. And zero waste concept is been given more emphasis in the industries. Zero waste must be given for recycle process, reduce process, reproduce process. And when we go for the cities or go for the nationwide, we must be more important about the wetlands, parks. And based on the energy, we must be more regenerative practices on the bioenergy kind of things. So based on these missions and e-waste rules, criterias, we must be more emphasis on, it must be more mandates for the lifestyle for the circular economical pathways. Last is the sectors where we can take a sustainable. Last is the key takeaways, which is mostly based on the sustainabilities, which is mostly based on the integrations, which is mostly based on the policies, technologies, and the people. And mostly we can understand that how the goals, globals and local actions are being taken care by the like sustainable development goal, net zero goals. Then examples, for example, like Kerala decentralized model, smart cities. And when we think about the youth and educations, so empowering young mind is very important for transforming the behavior and essential sustainability for the long term changes. Again, we have to make more important on the policies framing, more important on the technologies, more important on the communities, because these three factors are more important when we think about the communities. These people are the you can say are the platform where they are facing also, and they are the one who can give the solutions. And last is nothing but the natural resources, which generally the one of the resources which are been depleting down day by day. So it's an hour that we have to make sure that how this action, by our action, by our policies, by our technologies, by our community actions, how we can preserve these natural resources, and based on that, how we can give more criterias and more challenges in resources management, because the sustainable resources management is the key factors for today's scenarios. So thank you very much for your being patience. And
Thank you so much, sir, for elaborative and informative session on sustainable resource management, covering equity distribution, integrated resource management, life cycle assessment, circular economy. I mean, most of the things you have covered here. Again, also the policies and the framework. So thank you so much for an elaborative session. Now we are moving ahead towards the question and answer session. So I encourage the participants to kindly raise their questions or queries if they have any.
Hello, sir.
yes, yes.
Presentation was nice and very excellent way.
Thank you.
It is, the question is that, sir, is there any policy for from the municipal corporation for sustainability and any other solution from municipal corporation?
Yes, sir. There are lots of policies which are coming up in the municipal council for based on the uh, waste management type of things, based on the resources management, based on the raw materials which are coming up. So, lot of resources based on the local action. Actually, the local government has to be taken the action based on the, like for example, I have already told you about Jal Shakti, already told you about the smart cities. Net net zero challenges are been there by the local government. So local government or
Yeah.
municipal council are also being given more emphasis, because ultimately the challenges are coming from their sides, because we find that raw material, etc., natural resources are being depleted from their side, from their areas only. So it is the phenomena that more government or policies must be more focused on this particular area. So mainly every municipal council, based on their scenarios, based on the Indian culture, we are finding that they are giving lot of emphasis. And digital, even you find that nowadays the government sectors are giving frameworks on the digital sectors, like AI for grassroots. I have already told you, in the sectors of agriculture, sensor based technologies are being given emphasis. So this type of policies are really giving importance to the societies. So I think the municipal council is a municipal council, or you can say the board or Indian governance are giving more credit to the municipal council for the this local or framing of the local policies.
But sometimes people not approaching for sustainability because of the rising of costing is there, sir.
Again, I have already told you that it is the community engagement. If the people are not focusing, then again we are means we have to make communication in that scenarios. Like for example, our prime minister started with the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. So that type of campaign must be there, that type of campaign must be installed properly to the society, to for proper implement. Then and then only the society will come up, then and then the people will encourage. If we are not encouraging the people, then there will be no chances that this all these policies governance are more beneficial to the societies. Actually, when we think about this governance, when we think about these policies, it is make for the benefit to the society, but actually it is not been implemented or taken care of the people. So
Yes, sir.
communications, so the communication is one of the important aspects, sir. Without communication, without encouraging, without youth participation, without knowing the knowledge, we cannot say that the policies are reaching, and the benefits are been there for that. So when we think like recently I've heard that Allahabad or Lucknow Lucknow is been casted as most uh, means good cities. They are coming up with the good cities because of the maintenance of the solid waste. So this is again one of the, just because of the communication, just because of the communities. If the communities are not helping the government, so give we cannot come up with a good result, sir. So community engagement is one of the important aspects, and without that, it is not not means we can say not usual for giving us the sustainable kind of things. We cannot say.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Any another query or a question?
Good evening, ma'am. Good evening, sir.
Yes, yes.
Sir, you have covered all these topics very nicely, and the session was very informative. I have a question related to artificial intelligence and smart technology. So, since this is an era of artificial intelligence, so my question is very generalized. That what is the role of artificial intelligence in sustainable resource management?
Sir, when we talk about these technologies, is again one of the gaining technologies nowadays. Many of these phenomena are being driven by the artificial intelligence and IoTs. Like for example, when we talk about the water, we have smart irrigation sensor based, and it's generally given you more focusing on the forecasting on the demand forecasting, and generally given the predictions for the you can say drought predictions. Then in terms of energy, when we talk about, we have a smart energy meters, we have a solar panel tracking. So this is nothing but the artificial intelligence which generally giving you a best coming up in agriculture. Again, I have shown tell you nowadays we are using a drone technologies. We are making a drone type of technologies for means for pesticiding, for spreading the pesticides. Again, the weather, we can understand the weather based on these AI technologies. Then again, we can understand the moisture content of the crop. So based on these agriculture sectors, this IoT is also making a lot of sense. Even in the waste, when we talk about nowadays, the sensor based waste bins are been there. So there is again one of the separation for the wet waste and dry waste. So the smart bins are being given. So this IoT is being given more emphasis. And then it is again for urban planning, we can understand that smart lighting, urban modeling routes, so transportation routes. So this is the coming era will be of AI technology, sir. And I think that most of our researchers will focus on this AI based technologies to predict the things, and to predict the sectors where we can give the more amount of solutions to the society. I think this AI sector will be booming in the coming days.
Yes, sir. So, and for that, we have to be smart enough to implement that technology.
Sure, sure. That is more important. Implementation is more important than action, we can say.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. I would like to interrupt. We are running short of time, so the next session is scheduled at was supposed to at 7:30 p.m. And I would like Professor S.K. Kamre to kindly take over the session and introduce the next expert and start the session.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank you
ma'am,
so much,
for
sir.
giving. Thank you, ma'am, for giving us the opportunities to give small knowledge. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. I would request everyone to please do not log out and be joined in the session. We are just starting our next session.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Karthik sir is there, ma'am.
Yes, yes, yes.
Good afternoon, sir. Good
Yeah,
evening, sir.
yeah, very good evening.
Yes, sir. Ma'am will just start giving your introduction. Once it finish, then you can start your session, sir.
Perfect.
Thank you. Yeah.
Uh,
Ma'am, you are not audible.
Kamli ma'am, you are not audible.
You can join with the mobile as well, ma'am, and just switch on the audio with the mobile. I'll call you, ma'am. I'll call you on the phone. Wait.
Hello, am I audible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. Yeah.
A very good evening to one and all. I welcome you all to the fifth day of Faculty Development Program on Sustainable Energy and Climate Solution. I am Ms. Nehal Kamle, Assistant Professor on behalf of Civil Engineering Department, YCCE. Take this opportunity and privilege to introduce to you to our today's guest speaker, Mr. Kantish Chopkar sir, specialist in design, construction, and innovation in steel and cold form steel structures. He is a distinguished professional in the field of structural engineering with specialized expertise in design, construction methodologies, and innovative practices of steel and cold form steel structure. His work emphasizes efficient structural system, light construction, and innovative use of cold form steel sections, which are increasingly recognized for their versatility, cost effectiveness, and sustainability in construction. He demonstrated excellence in structural design of steel and cold form steel systems for diverse applications, advocated and implemented modern mechanized and modular construction approach, improved speed, safety, and efficiency. He is actively involved in research, publication, and technical workshops. He played a key role in bridging academic and industry practices, ensuring innovative design concepts. He promoted lightweight, recyclable, and eco-friendly construction solutions using cold-formed steel technologies. He also guided young engineers, researchers, and faculty members in adopting modern structural engineering techniques. I request you, sir, to please proceed with the session. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am. And thanks for giving me an opportunity to say some of the few words related to the innovations and the codal provisions, particularly into the steel structure and the cold form steel structure. Definitely, there are a lot of peoples around, more than 80 peoples are there, 80 engineers are there, those who are interested to understand what is steel structure and what is cold form steel structure. And I would like to give you a little, the information about, because there are so many things that the peoples are not aware about the steel construction, as well as what exactly steel is doing in construction when we say particularly overall steel building. So so first thing I would like to thanks also YCC also.
Babu.
Can you hear me properly?
Yes, sir, you are audible. We will just shut down the mic of other participants. Snail, ma'am, can you please shut down the mic of Mr. Rajat? Snail, ma'am? Yeah. Now, sir, now you can proceed, sir. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry
Yes,
for
sir,
thanks.
I
interrupting.
did it. I muted.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks. So basically, cold form steel buildings and the innovative structural solution in the steel as well as the cold form steel structure. Before going to that, since it is particularly our the program is mostly related to the sustainability and particularly to the climate change, and basically this is one of the best what I feel is the solution is to build the structure into cold form steel buildings. Right now I'm showing the one simple what are the innovative ways for the sustainable development in the construction, particularly into the cold form steel. In India, basically everyone knows that what are the new technologies are coming into the construction industries, what are the parameters that we need to understand, that why these technologies has to be updated regularly. What are the sustainable building everyone should have to know that what is the sustainable building. When we say 30 to 50% reduction in the energy use, like for example there are lot of technologies coming out in terms of concrete, in terms of wooden, in terms of the clay. But when we talk about the steel structure, whether steel is really a sustainable energy or it is reducing, yes, that is one of the fact. Then the demand, what exactly demand in the India, like everyone knows that the housing shortage is coming up in India. So the demand of housing is increasing day by day. So whether our construction, the techniques which we are using is really sufficient to take that demand. The skill, yes, when we talk about the skill, definitely our engineers, our the fresher engineers are ready to take that type of demand when they come up out of from college life to the actual the business life, or actually into the construction sector. Are they are really ready in terms of skill also? Health and safety, environment, everyone knows about the environment. There are a lot of the clauses, there are a lot of codes has been come up in terms of the environment. Resource in terms of the material, whether the material which we are going to use are really a sustainable materials. That question has to be arise. Then when the demand increases, really the speed of the construction has been increases or not, the quality of the material is coming the same from the day one to the delivery date of that construction. Safety is really are we taking life cost cycle? There are a lot of peoples are not aware about the life cost cycle. We always think about what is the construction cost, but when the construction completed, whether that construction is actually what the cost is giving for the next 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, that is also important. From the basis of that, if I will do the energy efficient building, my the energy or the electricity is reducing by using something new technologies in the walls, or so that also giving us the overall reduction in the cost of the building for the overall life of that the building. Thermal acoustical fire is another. So these are all the points which coming out to be into the picture. Yes, steel is the one material which is 100% recyclable, which has been given by ANSI ASI 700 NAHB, that is a National Accreditor of Housing Board worldwide. Light steel is a green. I'm saying light steel is a green. So any material or any steel which is less than 2 mm thickness, now believe it, I'm saying 2 mm thickness, everyone knows that the thickness is around, like a 2 mm is something, like if you can see my, the photo, you can see this is the 2 mm, the thickness. In this, I'm going to build a structure which is more than 5 story. So definitely after 30 or a 40 or a 50 years, when, the life of the buildings comes to, you can recycle that material. Today, the garbage, what we can say, the scrap material of the steel is around 35 to 40 rupees per kg, and the produced steel is around 70 rupees. But definitely after 50 years, the scrap material which we are using, which is 35, at that time it will go around 60 rupees. So after 50 years, whatever the construction cost which we have used today, that you are getting it after 50 years also. So definitely it is one of the best, the material from the perspective of overall construction. But for that, we need to understand what is cold form steel, or what is cold form steel framing. This is really a very old technology. It's not a very new technology, but basically what happened that in India we have IS 801, which is established, or sorry, published in 1975, but still that code is still using 1975. So it is not yet updated. So it is now important thing happens that yes, we have to update that code also, so that all the engineers, all the builders, architects need to understand that yes, this is one of the material which we can use for any type of the construction, particularly the type of construction or the type of occupancy, which I will show in the next slides. So basically this is 1850, like particularly, in the World War, they use as a fast track construction the cold form steel, having, like the thickness around 1 mm to 2 mm, and they build, particularly this type of technology generally used in the armies, or particularly in the war prone areas, because of the fast construction required. But right now it is even now using in the post disaster, the areas also. So for that, basically the US has first established the codal provisions that we called as a American Iron Steel Institute Code, which established in 1946, and now right now we are using 2025 AISI code. So how they have updated their codes, the major countries which are using, like a USA, Canada, Europe, and right now India is also emerging, because the BMPTC, that is from the government of India, the Building Material Promotion Technological Council, has sanctioned this technology in a very great way, and the schemes like a Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, they have sanctioned this technology to go with this type of, cold form steel framing in a high quantities. And almost like most of the contractor has delivered this type of, the construction, particularly into the Uttarakhand area, then the northeast area, and particularly to the north area also, till Madhya Pradesh. Yes, in Maharashtra, from last 3 to 4 years, this technology is booming now. Even I think in Nagpur also it started. There are 5, 6 schools they have, like constructed in this technology. So what is cold form steel? So any steel, like for example, I have this, the channel section. This is like a flat plate, and then in the machine you can mold it like a channel, and this channel is going to use as a column, as a beam, as a roof truss, as all means. This is just like a web member is 89, then the flange member is 41, the lip is 11 mm, and the thickness ranges from 0.75 to 1.15. See, I'm saying 1.15, so it is not even more than 1.2 mm thickness. But by this only the section, you can prepare the walls, you can prepare the floors, you can prepare the roof trusses, you can prepare the cantilever, the balconies, everything by only one single section, which I have shown in the left side of my, the presentation, where you can see ground plus 2 story, the building is coming up with this, the technology. Now, most of the people ask advantages. I prepared little bit in a different way that what are the advantages, and this, I took almost like more than 20 people. Those are, like architects and big builders, and then some IITians, those who are doing the R&Ds into this. And then I started asking that question that really the cold form still decrease the construction time? All people says yes. 20 people says yes, it decreased the construction time. So I'm giving one example by considering that I want to build one house of around 2000 square feet, ground plus one. It doesn't take more than 60 days to complete the overall building, a villa or that type of, the construction. So 60 days. If you go with a conventional, the any type of conventional, either conventional concrete or a traditional method of the construction, it takes from 6 months to 9 months. So definitely, the construction time reduces. Increase uniform quality. Now, for example, if I am taking this steel from the Tata, JSW, POSCO, SAIL, anybody, and I says that, hey, I want a yield strength of 550, and they will give me a coil, and from that coil I will generate this. It means that overall, the building will have a single yield strength, that is 550. So you will have a uniform quality in the material also. More consistent product, it means that more consistent, like the all the properties, like mechanical properties of that steel would be similar to the overall building. Like, for example, I'm not, I mean to say, I will take an example of concrete. Sometimes what happened that when I do, the slab, RCC slab, I said that if 25 grade of concrete is required, I may not be confirmed that the above floor also will get a 25. It may 28 also, it may 24 also. But in this case, you will get a consistent, the material properties. Improved ROI, return on investment. 18 people says yes, 2 people says no. So improved return on investment means, like, for example, I'm going to build one, I mean to say, the hotel. Now, for to build the hotel, it takes around 1 year to 2 years. But if I'll go with this technology, it will take around 6 months. So definitely your 1.5 year is reducing, and your production from that, the hotel is started 1.5 years before. So definitely it is improving the return on the investment. Increase sustainability, it is a purely a steel material. Definitely it increases the reduce initial cost. 10 people says yes, 10 people says no. Might be, the steel cost is little bit fluctuating because of the, the global market. But yes, it is something like, if I'll compare with the traditional, the concrete, it is almost like a similar. Reduce whole life cost. As I said, like, for example, if I build my villa in this, the technology, in conventional concrete, might be I get a, like a electricity bill of 2000 rupees per month. Definitely by doing this, my electricity, the bills will reduce from 2000 to 1000, like that. So overall, if I'll talk about the 50 years, then definitely the cost of the overall building is reducing. Increase flexibility, yes, you can build a lot of things from this one also. And greater optimization option. Yeah, this is a pre-engineered building. So pre-engineered building has always, like, most of the people says that no, it doesn't have a customization option. Like, for example, like, I want to, after completion of the villa, I say that no, I don't want a cantilever of 1.2 meter, I want 1.8 meter. In RCC might be possible. In this case, it is not possible, because you are doing a pre-engineered building. So pre-engineered means, like, everything has been engineered earlier, so you don't have too much options to expand or to customize that type of structure. So that's why 13 people out of 20 says that they disagree. 7 people says that yes, it's a pre-engineered building, so why should I have to customize once I have finalized the how the villa has to be there. Then, as I said that I have just shown one, like a diagram which shows that one slitted coil and how it is bending in the machine by a roll forming, and it from the flat, from this portion arrow, and then it is bending and giving the shape. Now this is like a frame cut machine, and this machine generally generates these channel sections, and these are all automated. Only one people is sufficient to build, almost like a 1000 to 2000 square feet villa. Only one person is required to fabricate this material overall. Then I'm just showing in terms of reasons for the project delay, why it is important from the perspective that when I say about the cold form steel framing, what is the important concern is particularly when I took from this overall, the lack of material. Means what happens, my construction starts, but my material is not at the site. Due to this 14% of the project delay comes from this one. And like for example, the most is the manpower shortage, which is around 19%. But believe me, only 3 to 5 people is required to build 2000 square feet villa. So that's the beauty of this, the technology. So definitely, if I only talk about the 19 and the 14, so which is around 30%. So definitely 30% reduction is happening only because of the lack of material, which can be because you are providing 5 ton of the steel can be generated by the machine in one shift. So, and if I'll talk about the villa of 2000 square feet, which is around approximately 200 square meter, which is approximately 4 ton of the steel is required. So I said that in one shift or in 8 hours, your all the fabrication material can be produced. So you can see the lack, there is no lack of material will happen, there is no manpower shortage will happen, and overall 30% of the time reduction can be happened. And others are there like poor outputs, weather. So that is, like compared to the concrete, it is like a similar to like apple to apple, the comparison. Then most important point comes out to be the opportunities. As I said that where the opportunity is coming here. So basically, if you'll see that around 3 trillion GDP, India is one of the largest growing economy in the world, and definitely construction in India is emerging as a third largest sector globally, and it may reach up to 750 billions in value by 2025. So cities which contribute over 80% of the GDP by 2050, they need to have a faster sustainable growth to ensure the quality of the living. And that is why, like the schemes like a Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana came into picture. And to cater this type of growth population, India must have to build 600 to 800 million square meter urban space every year till 2030, which means a new Chicago every year. This is the demand right now in India. So basically from that, we need to think from the perspective of the sustainability also, because you can't put up everything onto the concrete. Let's have some new technologies where, like and as you know that, like for example, Pune is generating around 5 lakh ton of the concrete yearly. And now those people are expertise in the concrete. They may say that how much the carbon can be generated from that concrete. The same thing happening in Nagpur also, which is, like Nagpur is like in summer it's really very hot, and the temperature increases suddenly, and we realize that boss, what happened this year, why it's increasing day by day. But definitely because of the materials which we are going to use in our, the cities. So that also, so we need to think always from the perspective of energy, water and resources, and this technology is giving us the overall approach. So that's why I said that the impact on the environment assessment need to be studied by every civil engineer, and it's really right time to avoid any chalta hai approach. That has to be avoided. Now, when we talk about the future, the level and the future, the level and the future aspect of the cold form steel in construction technology. Everyone, like I just described one, the levels of the construction. Like for example, level 1, it is like a material based, the construction where bring the aggregate, bring the sand, bring the cement, bring the water, mix it at the site. There might be, the technologies coming up in that mixture, considering ready mix concrete, blah. But these are the approach which we called as a level 1 or a level 2 approach. But right now, like in US, most of the peoples are going with a volumetric system or a complete building system. It means that you are going with a offsite construction. Means in factory, you are designing, you are fabricating your overall room, take it into the container, take it into the truck, and put it at this site. This technology is becoming a great, in terms of, in particularly in the US region. So all the finishing, everything would be completed in the factory itself. Now, basically, what are the components of this cold form steel? Like, for example, I shown a ground plus one-story building where the roofing system, which is like a truss system, having the channel section as a top chord, as a bottom chord, and as a inclined web members, and you can, generate the roofing from that, and having a color coated shade, roof shingles, clay tiles, whatever, like the cladding system can be used. Cladding means like a sheathing, either use a fiber cement board or a OSB board or a PPGI sheet or a shingle, those who like, the architectural aspects into that. Wall system also having a wall of 89 that provide a insulation into that, a rock wool insulation, and then the cladding fiber cement board from the both sides. And then the structure, as I said, that 0.8 to 2.5 only the thing is, when we talk about this is a galvanized material, 270 GSM. 270 GSM means, like, if I'll put that into the salt, also salt water for 50 years, nothing is going to happen with this steel. We generally use in the coastal area also with that 275 GSM. So this type of material, which we generally use into the structure particularly. Then the flooring system, again, it's a flooring system with the channel sections, and then provide a deck and little concrete onto the top so that vibration should. Yeah, one more thing important in US, in Europe, most of the people like a ply type of, the system, but in India, basically, we don't like the vibrations in the floor. We feel like that ki yaar gir to nahi jayega ye, thing like that. So 20 to 30 concrete and the tiles we use, so that the means like structurally or technically, we are increasing the stiffness of that, the floor, so that the vibrations can be reduced, and the frequency of that vibration should be in control of as per National Building Code. Then foundation is similar, but it is very lightweight foundation, because overall structure is light. You can believe it, the wall weight is only 0.5 kPa, which is nothing but, like a 50 kg per square meter, which is very less compared to even the brick wall also. And how the construction process, like, for example, in the number one, the frame CAD machine, which I said, they are, producing the channel sections, then assembling the trusses in the factory, then foundation completed, and the anchor bolt has been erected in the third part, the assembly of walls and everything in the fourth part, then erection of the walls in the fifth part, the floor and the first floor walls erected in the sixth, then all mechanical and electrical plumbing services completed in the seventh part, then all, like switches and everything that comes out, means like MEP, I can say, all the mechanical, electrical, plumbing work completed in the eighth part, and ninth part is the cladding system of that. So it's like this type of system is used. Advantages, I said, now I just calculated advantages based on the material, based on the benefit to the builder, and based on the benefit to the customer, the end customer. So, like, from the material perspective, if I'll talk, it is very strong, it is inorganic, dimensionally stable, because we are taking from the factory, consistent material quality, non-combustible, and the earthquake resistant. Believe me, since the total overall mass of the structure has been reduced, it is particularly a very earthquake resistant. For a single villa, like I said, 1000 square feet, it takes around more than like 10,000 screws. Now you can imagine, when the earthquake comes, there are 10,000 number of screws. So there is no sudden collapse of this building compared to any other methodology, even the wood also. So there is no sudden collapse in this type of structure. And since it is a steel, it has a elastic, the properties. So generally it enjoys the earthquake also. So in terms of benefit to the builder, yes, speed, the overall weight of the structure, less scrap, 95% is recyclable, higher quality, green building, and safer construction. Benefit to the customer, those who are staying into that, is like a insect proof, smaller wall. Yeah, the best part is that the wall thickness of our, the conventional is 230 mm, which is a 9 inch, but in this case it is almost like 100 mm, which is like a 4 inch, even the external side also. Fire resistance, low maintenance cost, design life, and and you are building a smart, the construction. Now, from the engineering perspective, there are a lot of things has been come up in the software opportunities. So many people says that, "Ki, why should I go with this technology?" And like, but believe me that most of the, the companies in particularly India, they are doing now the structural design and everything in India, and giving that, the drawings and everything to the US, the client, or a Europe client. So basically, this is again a one big software opportunities. Like for example, I said BIM, so Revit structure. Now Revit also has his own library of cold form steel. Then Tekla is one of the biggest software which generally we use for a hot roll steel, but they also have a cold form steel members into that. Then Structsoft, Vertex, these are the particularly a cold form steel, the softwares which generates the fabrication drawing as well as the machine drawing also. FrameCAD structure, FrameCAD detailer, these are uh, the FrameCAD is the machine manufacturer. They have their own software, FrameCAD structure. And in fact, India also has sanctioned this, the FrameCAD software. India means like Indian BIS, Bureau of Indian Standard, also sanctioned this type of software that you can use this for particularly for a structural design perspective. So this software interface, I have shown that overall what are the different softwares which are in terms of structural design. SAP 2000 is one of the biggest, people use that, the software particularly to design the light gauge steel or a cold form steel structure. And of course STAD also, but STAD has again a limitation in terms of cold form steel member, because they don't have a very small, the section like that 89. So we have to, like customize that, the into that software, but it doesn't give us the 3D views and everything. So SAP 2000 generally, the people use, or any structural engineer use that type of, the software. Then AI construction process. Now since you get a IFC file from the Revit, so why, like you can give us the artificial intelligence construction process, like for example, the truss system, the cladding system, the painting system, the electrical and plumbing systems, doors, windows, and all the painting work. So I have shown, almost like 9 diagrams where this, if I will compile everything, so that you can get us the picture of that, the construction, where you can see each and everything, and this we gives us to the contractor to build such type of construction in a very fast way, all the connections. So why I says that in this construction only skilled labor and not more than 5 people is required, is only because everything has been pictured, everything has been given in the 3D itself, that they can directly, have to do nut and bolts to this, overall construction. Now, as a committee member to the IS 801, as I told that IS 801 is a very old 1975 outdated, but we have submitted the IS 801 2025 as a draft to the Bureau of Indian Standard, and we have defined this, those who have, read the IS 801 1975. That are very, like a compact, and lot of details has not been mentioned. So basically we tried to prepare the chapter same like IS 800 2007 and IS 801. We have prepared in the same way, considering the most important chapters like connection and joint as a section 10 into that. Design assisted by testing. See, design assisted by testing is one of the very best, the methodology where most of the innovative people, those who thinks that, boss, I want to do thing like, in the system or in the construction, they can, use that by using the section 11 of the code, design assisted by testing. And there are a lot of testing NABS labs are there, CBRI labs are there in Chennai. Also we have SERC lab. So we can prepare your own innovative way, sanction it that through the section 11 and use in the construction. So that also part has been added now in IS 801, and particularly section 17, that is design and detailing for the earthquake forces. This is very important point which has been added in the code form still, which I tried to utilize in this presentation, why it is important from the perspective of wind and the earthquake forces. But to understand that, first we need to understand that when we are using the channels, what are the different type of modes, buckling modes are coming into this, the channel. When I will use like axial force onto that, what is going to happen with that, the member, that we need to understand. And those who are having the IS 800 capability to understand, these are the similar things has been taken up in the IS 801 also. So I said that to understand the design of CFS lateral forces resisting system, buckling modes needs to be studied. And that buckling mode are nothing but the one is the local, the buckling mode. So local buckling mode means like when I want to push as a compressive member towards that, what is going to happen, that we need to. So that is a local failure. Second one is the distortion failure, where your flanges get on the outer side. Flexure means like when I bend this part, when I bend this one in this direction, this is going to bend. Torsional, when I will give like torsion to this one. And torsional and friction means like combination when both forces are coming. So this, the mode need to understand, and based on that we have added some of the section chapter 17 into IS 801. So to understand that, whenever I have given very simple example on house, how the forces has been acting onto the house. Like for example, vertical and the lateral. So on the left side, you can see the vertical forces, which is a gravity forces because of the dead load and the live load and any, the imposed load coming onto the building, how that is going to be on the downward forces. And second one is the lateral forces, and how it has to be act onto the any structure. So basically any house is a component of structural members. So like in our case, in this one we have a roof members, we have a wall members, we have a floor members, and we have the bottom track which is resting onto the foundation. So how the forces are transferring, like for example lateral forces are coming, how that lateral forces are collected by the floor as a floor diaphragm, and how that is transferring to the wall, and from wall to the foundation. That part I have, in terms of free body diagram, which I tried to show it in this way. Like for example, roof, when roof load is coming as a wind load, this will act as a collector element to the top track of the wall. And then lateral resisting system like a shear wall. Now in this case, what would be the type of shear wall, that I will explain it in the next slide. So through the shear wall, that will transfer onto the floor, and the floor diaphragm forces again transfer to the lower wall, and the free body diagram of lower wall is the lateral load area from area A2, means whatever the wind forces, and then this lateral load onto the ground floor wall at the top, how it is like transferring it to the ground floor. That has been, it is something like a equivalent static area method from the IS 1893 that has been applicable through the free body diagram. Now that forces, when I said when it comes out to the ground floor, how the wall is going to deflect now. That so lateral force is coming, the control sideway need to be designed. We have a vertical members as a channel member. So we have a vertical members as a channel. This is a wall actually. So in wall, we have a channels at every 16-inch on center or 400 mm on center. And there is a bottom track on the bottom side, there is on the top side, and the vertical members, and they are connected. So it's like a panel. So this panel has a lateral force on the one side, and what would be the resisting shears, and how that we are calculating. And due to this, the wall is going to deflect, so definitely there would be a uplift and the downward force onto the foundation. That has to be studied in the next the slide. So this is a shear wall, like as I said, this is a cold form steel wall, and at the bottom you can see a plain beam. So this plain beam and the cold form steel wall, and it is connected by anchor bolt at every 600 on center. Then this wall is cladded by a fiber cement board, and having a screws at every joint. This wall with this cladding system having a lateral force, so this sheathing, which we call as a fiber cement board or a OSB board, or there are a lot of calcium silicate board, gypsum board, also has a lateral resisting capacity. Right now our code doesn't have that, the capacities, or but in US they have, like by a cyclic or a monotonic methods, you can, like we have to give these forces by a actuator, and you can calculate that how much is the resisting power to that sheathing can be calculated, and you can use this as a shear wall into the structures which are less than 40 feet height. So this particularly for the villas, you can design this type of wall as a shear wall. If your forces are very high, like for example, if you are doing some structure in the northeast or north where the zone 5 is coming, then X bracing shear wall is comes to the picture, and where X brace shear wall that I have, like mentioned in this, the slide, where this is a ground plus one. So on the left side, I have shown the sheeted shear wall and how it is connecting. So at every end of the shear wall, such type of hold downs is required. This hold down will take a capacity of uplift and the downward forces, which I have mentioned as a free body diagram of this. So like for example, FH is the lateral force. So basically it would transfer through the strap bracing up to the bottom of this the concrete, and at this junction, this hold down, that the hold down which I have shown it here, that called as a hold down, that we have to use in the structure. So this is the overall X bracing which we generally have to use in such a way that the forces has to nullify into the ground, and the plain beam or isolated footings with the plain beam connecting, that has to design for this downward forces. So basically in this way, the overall cold form still comes out to be in such a way. But basically, like I just want to show this part, why this is important from the perspective of sheathing. So right now there are a lot of research in India is going on, because in India we have a fiber cement board which is made up of fibers and the cement, and having the thickness of just 9 So that like we are doing some cyclic loading test to calculate how much is the lateral resisting capacity of that the material, and based on that you can design the overall structure, like a 30 or a 40-story structure, villa structure, in particularly into this the technology, and you can build a house, a earthquake resistant and the wind resistant the houses with this type of technology. There are a lot of questions asked about that, can we use this into high rise structure also. Some the research has done, as well as we have done the 16-story building in Jammu with this type of technology having the X bracing, and it's a residential the building which we have done. Now I want to show you the what are the different the structures which we have built. Like for example, this is one of the villa And you can see on the left side that all the vertical members as a channels of this one, and cladded with a fiber cement board, or a OSB oriented strand board, or some people use the fire resistant plyboard also, particularly in the Europe area. And you can, on the right side, you can see this is the finished product, and these are all sustainable materials which can be used to build this type of the structure. This is again a villa which uses 100% cold form steel, not more than not more than 1.15 thickness, and we built the villa which shown on the top one. These are the residential buildings like uh, like a row house type, and which in this the cladding system is the metal cladding system. So metal and the ACP cladding has been used in this one. This is the combination of hot rolled steel and the cold rolled steel. Then there are several type of villas which we can build, like in the particularly A-shaped villa, which is right now booming everywhere. Like most of the people use as a resort or use as a farmhouse in this type of the construction. And this is again a more sustainable the construction, and no my I mean to say the carbon dioxide or any the emissions from this type of structure. This is one of the rooftop. Very important point is that we have lot of the existing buildings that are old, and we are not able to either reconstruct or we cannot add any more the story onto that. But as I said that only 50 kg per square meter is the wall load of the. So those are the old buildings can take one additional floor load by using this technology. And the advantage is that if I will go with a slope roof, then the life of the existing structure also be increased, because of the the water can go out, because if I'll take a overhang in the roof, then definitely the water will go outside. So this is one of the example where the existing building and covering with a new additional story, which I will show you in the next also. The sports infrastructure. This is India's first the high altitude football stadium which we have built. It called as a PA Sangma sports complex in Tura, Meghalaya, and that is the combination of hot rolled steel and the cold rolled steel. There is no concrete, only concrete has been used below ground only. Above that there is no the concrete. So this is the football stadium which we have designed and constructed, particularly in Meghalaya, which is a high altitude and high earthquake prone area. Where the remote area construction, these are some type of resorts, and particularly into the Narogoro forest, which is in Tanzania nearby Dar es Salaam. So in this also we have built all the remote areas hotels, I can say, and to stay. And this basically they want like high rise because of the lions and everything they come. So this type of hotels can be also built in this, because this type of construction you can't go with a traditional concrete. So basically in one truck every material comes, and within, like for example in this case we have to build a one villa like in like around 30 days. So that type of the fast track construction can be prepared. As I said that these are the existing like school buildings, the government school buildings, and since they want to expand their the schools. So on the left side you can see that the light gauge steel one story has been added, and on the right side you can see it is finished with the all cladding system to get that type of the filling also, and the similar type of the look can be taken up. Then the college buildings, lot of ground plus two-story hostel building, that also has been built particularly for IIT Roper. We have done this type of the construction. ITI buildings in MP, that also has been constructed in this type of the CFS technology. Then this is the ITI building. So then these are the some resorts which sorry, these are the some resorts which built up in this one. So this is again a full, two-story building. Sorry, I don't know, some videos has been taken up. So let me show, I will show in this way only. So this is one resort in Goa, which we have prepared in the light gauge steel in around 3 months of time. Then the college building in Uttarakhand area. So this is particularly made all in the Uttarakhand areas. So you can see the difference of the retaining wall and everything, and they are not able to do that into RCC. Hence, the light gauge steel framing technology has been used. Now railway department also came up in this one. So they have the relay huts. Relay hut means like a building which comes when the station comes. So before station comes, this is the relay building where all the relays and all electronic equipments has been placed. And as per their norms, this building should not have to be more than 20 years or 30 years as per their RSO norms. So we have presented this type of construction to them. They like this type of, the technology, and they says that yes, if I'll do after 30 years, we can use that, because in RCC you can't use that, the all, because in fact you have to pay the money to demolish that, the type of building. But in this case, like, you can earn something even after, like completion of the life cycle of, let's say, 30 years for this building. So these are the relay huts, they called as a relay hut buildings, in particularly in the railways. And now this is going all in all DRM office right now, this type of, the building. Then sales office, this you can see that 20-meter of truss can be built, and just within a 3 months we have completed this structure is in Dubai. We did this type of construction. This is a 60-story building in Dubai, and all the facade, the outer facade, has been done by using the cold form steel. So for this 60-story building, all the facade, almost like 300 to 400 ton of the cold form steel is used to complete the facade up to the top story. Then these are some modular type of construction, like on the right side you can see it's a box type structures, and you have to place it one above the other, and based on that we can complete that type of structure. So it is something like that. And thank you so much. One more thing just I want to add is I want to show is which I already said, that in this type of construction we can use, this is the AI system which I already told. And this AI system, uh, this is the structure which we have built in the light gauge steel, and you can give it to anybody by using the Autodesk viewer, and provide the IFCs for that, where you can see all the trusses and everything. So anybody is doing this construction can, see even at the site, even at the mobile also, so that you can check each and every stud, each and every connection of this channel. And as I said, that everything is prepared by using only a single channel section, the same size, same thickness, and same, the material quality, and we can build. Now in this case you can add more. There are a lot of, the things which you can, prepare in this type of, the construction. So there are a lot of things, like I'm just showing some of the, the projects where, like, there are so many. This is like a control system building, where we use the combination of hot roll steel and the cold roll steel, and you can see that all, the combination which can be used in this, the structure. So this type of, the now from this it generates the CNC file, put up into the factory, and you can, like within a day, you can produce around, the 5 ton of the steel by that machine. So this type of, the overall construction which we can, like use there are several, the type of this can be prepared through this, the construction technology. So I guess my presentation I completed little bit early. Might be, if anyone has any question, I'm really happy to give you each and every, the answers to the question. Thank you so much.
Kamala ma'am,
Yes,
you
sir.
can ask participants.
Yes. Thank you so much, Mr. Pankaj Chopra, sir, for
Thank you, ma'am.
introducing to us to the cold form steel structures and giving us knowledge about the various IS codes. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
And various software opportunities in cold form structures. Now we will move to the question answer session. I request participants, if you have any query, please ask your questions.
Hello. Hello. Sir, am I audible?
Yeah, yes, you're audible.
Sir, for cold form steel structure, can you suggest me a book that I can use for the designing?
Sorry, what you said?
Eh,
Use?
Sir, for the designing, I want to refer any cold form structure book. Any designing book is available?
Yeah. So basically, the good point is that there is a one company, Arsenal Mittal is one of the big company, and since the lot of data are not available in India, so
Mhm.
you can refer directly AISI website, and you will get lot of information, lot of book. The good part is that the codes, AISI code, is
Mhm.
is easily available for anyone.
Okay.
So you can refer that. In terms of book, I prefer generally a Ben Scafford. He is the one of the R&D. So you can go CFSEI, Cold Form Structural Engineering Association of America. So that is called as a CFSEI. I will try that to show you where you can uh, get it here. So this is CFSES, so Cold Form Steel Engineer Institute, where you will get each and everything all exposed and all, the details and everything. So here you can get it all, and for students, for everyone, it is free.
ओके सर।
Yeah,
बिकॉज सर
thanks.
क्या है कि हमारे पास एलएसएम के बुक्स बहुत है हॉट रोल सेक्शंस के लिए, कोल्ड फॉर्म के लिए नहीं था, तो इसलिए जानना था कि बुक्स कौन
No,
से
no,
हैं।
definitely you will get a lot of help from this website. There are a lot of publications here. There are a lot of technical. So I said free AISI standard. So they are giving us the free, the codes for that, and the commentary of that also. So everything you will get it here. There is not at all any issue.
थैंक यू सर।
Yeah, thanks.
Any more questions from the participants? Sir, I have
Ma'am?
one question. Is this
Yes.
cold form structures can strengthening the building?
Strengthening
Old
the
structures
light
can
gauge steel building. But if the building is like a concrete, you can't. You can increase one story of light gauge steel onto the top of the existing conventional concrete building.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thanks.
Madam, there is a one question in chat box. Use of CFS in construction industry to achieve the sustainable development. Is this question in chat box, sir?
Just a minute. Let me see. Anyway, what is the question? Just let me.
Use of CFS in construction industry to achieve sustainability.
Yeah, see, first of all, sustainable is frankly speaking, is really a very big word. uh, Sustainable in terms of technology, sustainable in terms of cold form steel means like cold form steel is a material. So sustainably in terms of material, which I said in the first slide. So basically, if we'll talk about the Indian scenario right now, cold form steel is itself a sustainable material. The reason behind is, so what generally we say that what so what we generally say that in modern construction, sustainability is not an option. It's like a necessary. So necessary in terms of what? Necessary in terms of strength. So it is a steel. So you know that high strength to lightweight, the thing which is giving you the more, adaptability. And third one, very important, is the eco-friendly material. So this is particularly from the material perspective. Now, from the technology perspective, when I said that only skilled labor, then you are not using any type of, the material which is, emitting a carbon monoxide or a carbon. So from the health and that perspective, from the perspective of demand also, like, see, when government says that ki, hey, we want something, the high demand of the housing, so it's a fast track construction. From that perspective also, it's sustainable. Third point is the life cycle cost and the design life, which I always says that is a very important factor, whether it may be any technology, whatever it may be. But design life or a life cycle cost is a very important, which, which gives you the actual sustainability in the construction. So basically, from that perspective, as I said, giving a simple example of earthquake, what I called as MACB bill or electricity bill. As I said कि मैं एक concrete के घर में हूँ, उसमें हूँ, and I am getting, like a 2,000 rupees per, month, the electricity bill. And suddenly I change my walls and everything into light gauge, having a rock hole inside, having a thermal conductivity of 0.32, okay. And suddenly मेरी electricity means like, पहले मुझे AC चालू करने के बाद it took around half an hour to chill or to get the 16-degree temperature inside the room. And मैंने जैसे ही चेंज कर दिया वॉल, एंड देन आई फाउंड दैट कि विद इन 5 मिनट्स में मेरा रूम 16 डिग्री पे आ गया है. इट मींस दैट कि एनर्जी लॉस नहीं हुआ है, because it is not taking too much time. So that's why the electricity bill also will get reduced from 2,000 to 1,500 or 1,000. That is the sustainability. So yes, I mean to say the question gives the answer for that, the particularly from the sustainable point of view.
Kanti sir, let me ask you one more question from my end.
Yeah.
In India, why facade engineering is still not very much popular, and how that cold form will transform this facade engineering in India in coming years, sir?
See, one thing is, any building which is less than 30 feet high, we never think of facade. Whether it may be a residential building, whether it may be a commercial. Right now, in commercial, it started now. But facade engineering is growing slowly. Particularly in the commercial sector, not in the residential, not in the hospitalities, not into the other, even the hotels also. Even if you see, there are a lot of hotels are building, but they don't have the, typical facade. So basically, my answer is that, again, it's an architectural aspect. Like for example, in particularly in Dubai are like in residential, they think about the facade. In our, the construction, we never think about the facade in the residential. Yes, we are thinking in commercial perspective, because to attract the people. But But the thing is, it is growing, but slowly growing. And yes, of course, there are so many companies who are only running, doing the facade engineering only. So, like for example, as I said, cold form steel also. It came in 2004. The CPWD, BMPTC, Government of India, MOU, HD, Ministry of Urban Housing Development Technology, they sanctioned this technology in 2006. But now, just in 3 years, this technology came up in Maharashtra. So you can imagine, in our people tendency कि पहले गवर्नमेंट को करने दो उसको कुछ तो भी, let's see, and then it will come to the private, and once it comes in the private, then it, like, same happens in the for the concrete also. People never use the concrete previously. I'm saying, long back, even I was not born at that time, but us time maybe, like, people use the the clay and chuna wala ghar, everything, because they never understand that here concrete is like, why should I go with this one, like that. But it takes a decade, at least 1 decade, 2 decade, 3 decade, and again, cost factor in India is like, a cost factor is very important point. So when you, like, have a similar price of the cold form steel and the traditional, right now, cold form steel is around 14 to sorry, the concrete is around 1400 to 1500 rupees square feet, and this one is around 1500 to 1600, so little bit higher. So once they will match, then definitely people will think that कि यार प्राइस सेम है, और उसको, मेरे को 12 महीने लग रहे, इसको 3 महीने, तो why should not I go? So that time will come up. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thanks a lot for this detailed explanation of this particular question. And your presentation was very nice, sir.
Sir, I have
Thank you.
one question, sir.
Yes.
Sir, any challenges in using cold form steel in India, sir, for multi-story building sustainable direction?
We have built a 13-story building in Jammu. The challenge is the acceptance from the local municipal corporation, I can say, or any municipal or any approval authority. I will not take any municipal, but any approval authority. That is, like, giving us. So what is happening, that when we submit any drawing, this is that कि boss, ये तो हमने कभी देखा नहीं है, तो आप तो आईआईटी दिल्ली ही जाइए, या आईआईटी चेन्नई। अच्छा, IS-801 कौन बना रहा है? आईआईटी चेन्नई। तो वहां के प्रोफेसर को लेके आप है कि नहीं, इसको हमारे को सैंक्शन करिए। सो फिर वहां से भी करने के बाद, देर आर लॉट ऑफ, like, approvals are there, and our policies, particularly in the approval authorities, are not particular to any material. So that is, making a challenge. Yes, we have done for the Jammu, they called as a Jammu Improvement Trust or something like that. I forget the name, JIT or something like that. So since some people understand, we, sanction that plan from the IIT Chennai, so everything goes well. So wahan par ban gaya. But same thing we are trying now to build up in Goa also. In Arunachal also, one of my, the company which I helped in designing, in Arunachal Pradesh, they made a 16-story. There is one project. So basically, these are only the central government projects which are going on. But right now, from the state perspective, from the municipal perspective, or from the local authority perspective, it is right now becoming very hard to sanction it. This is the real and the today's condition.
Sir, I have one question.
Yeah.
Sir, as I am a sustainable means faculty in my college, so sir, I just want to understand that, sir, there are so many eco-friendly materials that are being innovated. We see lots of research papers. Sir, you also gave the answer related to like why it's a very challenging thing to get it accepted. But sir, may I ask, what about the, sir, awareness of these eco-friendly materials to the construction people, or maybe the people who are actually constructing their homes? Because sir, always, as you also said, the cost factor always comes into play. So sir, how do we in near future gonna tackle it, sir? Because as per my understanding, the more we want to go towards a sustainability, the more the investment is there. And sir, it's become very challenging to explain it to people the what is the cost benefit analysis in long run, because they particularly feel, sir, like for example, if anyone is constructing their residential home, so sir, they invest everything whatever they can. So explaining them that okay, you invest more, sir, how do we gonna tackle this thing in future perspective, sir?
See, this is really actually a hard question because when I also sit alone, I also have a similar type of approach, similar type of thinking that key. But right now, right now what I feel, there are two things in India. One is the government and one is the non-government organization, and both has to run parallel. Okay. Now the second thing is that awareness awareness in terms of sustainable. I when I feel now, when means like uh, just taking one example of interviews, when I start like giving taking an interview, I always found that key 90% of the people doesn't know what is sustainable. That is the reality, what I feel. Okay, might be in your case it might be different, but in my case I found that key people are not aware about the meaning of sustainable, particularly from the construction, particularly from the building perspective. They may say you the what is the meaning of sustainable, but what is the actual meaning of the sustainable building or sustainability in construction or sustainable energy in the construction? That definition or the awareness of that definition first we have to put up into the picture. Second thing is, when I said the government see, from the government perspective, since I was working with them, they are really doing a very great, like I would say the name Global Housing Technological Council, GHTC. You can go through that website, you will see lot of things particularly to the sustainability. Even there are always a online awareness program for that one. They are giving practical programs also, and the BMPTC, Building Material Technological Promotion Council, which is in, I think, in IIT Roorkee or Delhi, where I don't know exact. So they are also promoting that, but from the perspective of like for example, as a when I say sustainable building, I always close my eyes and I see that oh, steel is the sustainable building, okay, from my perspective. So definitely what I will think that okay, first where I have to go, Ministry of Steel is one of my the topmost person where I can start from that top position. So Ministry of Steel, and in Ministry of Steel, what are the department comes out to be there? When I say Hindustan Steel Works Limited is a PSU. Their name itself has a steel. So SAIL, Steel Authority, NTPCs. So the means even I have that the one later where the Ministry of Steel has float one the GR that any like for example you are going any thermal power plant, whatever the facilities do you want, built in the steel, don't go in the concrete, and it is going on right now. If you'll see a lot of pre-engineered or pre-fabricated building, that concept has been started in last 5 years, but not in a very great way, or not in a very I mean to say in a volume. It's not coming. But yes, of course, means I can't give you the very like detailed answer for this, but what I feel that I just shared with you that yes, it will come up, but it will definitely going to come up.
Yes, sir. I understand that my question is like something we can never answer. Even, sir, just sharing my views, sir. Even I personally feel that, sir, we have like a ECBC code book which particularly talks about the energy conservation in buildings. So, sir, government do have the PDF of it which is circulated all over India or in their website, sir. But somehow, sir, they have not mandated it till today. So I'm just thinking, sir, like what are the challenges that government is actually facing to mandate it at the first place, since this is their guidelines only. So it is more like, sir, they have just put the guidelines, but they are not in a position yet to mandate it, because sir, ECBC code book also have come like almost a decade back. So sir, even in a decade it is just a guideline, and I personally do not even feel that the construction people or or local construction people is even aware about what is even ECBC code book, or they are not even aware about, sir, as you were telling about this thermal properties, U value, sir, they are not aware about anything. So I feel it's gonna be long road, sir, maybe more than a decade, or I don't know, for them to literally understand the concept of maybe climate change or sustainability and mandate things, because that is the need of the hour, sir.
No, I just want to add it here one point. When I was just, I mean to say, 6 months before, there were Ministry of Urban Development and Housing, something ministries there, MOUHD, something like that. Yeah, Ministry of Urban Developing and House Developing, like that ministry. And the secretary of that and some lot of the technical people, this says that that is really one very good word. This says that it will come a time in India that any the villas or any construction which is less than 33 feet height should not use the concrete at all in the building. And
That's very nice, sir.
this is right now implementing in several parts of California states as well as the Florida state also. That means they have the counties and they use that now. Like for example, in LA, what everyone knows that what happens in the LA, the fire. Now they stop the wooden, but they never use the concrete. So now cold form steel is like a booming. It's like a booming everywhere. Everyone is using the cold form steel villas. So the similar type of things will come up in India also. That's why that word I didn't forget that कि एक टाइम आएगा ऐसा कि एक लॉ बनेगा एंड भाई 30 फीट के ऊपर वाला कोई भी बिल्डिंग में आप कंक्रीट यूज नहीं कर सकते हो. बिलो ग्राउंड करिए, अबव ग्राउंड नहीं होगा. ये आएगा, कोई रूल बनेगा ये.
Nice, sir. Thank you for this information.
Thanks.
Thank you so much, sir.
Any more queries from the participants? Okay, so I would like to thank sir for accepting our invitation and making this session very successful.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for their patience. Thanks.
Thank you participants also for patience listening.
Thanks a lot
Thank you
once
so
again,
much.
Kanti
Thank you,
sir.
ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. Good
Good
night,
night.
everyone. Thanks. Bye.
So we end up this session. Thank you everyone for joining us.